Welcome back to the Kinda Funny Gamescast. Of course, I'm Tim Geddes, and I'm joined by the new face of video games, Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Tim, I need you to alter my intro to the man that now has a Steam Deck.
Whoa!
Ooh, and how does it
this
feel
thing.
good? Does it feel good, Bless?
Great. Like, it feels better than I even thought it was gonna feel. And I'll get into impressions later on, but like, it feels magical.
I'm so excited because I haven't actually talked to anybody that has one. I've seen people give impressions online and stuff, but I got some questions and I will ask you them later, but I don't want to do that quite yet. I want to introduce the Nitro Rifle, Andy Cortez.
I'm looking for words that rhyme with
Penis.
like wrecking or decking. There's something we
Checking.
could do here where
Checking
we say
account.
like, what's up, Greg?
Checking.
Yeah, we could say something like the Steam decking, something wrecking, or like neck.
Oh, okay.
Necking.
Tekken.
Oh,
How does Tekken
Tekken.
run on it? I don't know.
Wow.
That was pretty great.
Okay. Think about that, chat. Think about that.
Think
Nobody's
about it.
Think about that
listening
for a
right
second. will
Think
you?
about it.
Nobody's listening.
Rounded out the crew, we have the Big Daddy himself, Greg Miller.
Well, I gotta get a screenshot to make fun of Paris Lily. All right.
Mhm.
That. Let me use the
Is that your
backbone
mobile
to
phone?
play. Yeah, that's I don't know. What the fuck?
Is that your mobile phone? Who the fuck are you, Bless?
Get that off the
Is that
screen. Nobody
a
wants to see
cellular
that shit.
device that I see?
Look at the size of that screen. It's very small, Greg.
You know
Small
what?
Screen.
Bless.
It's like
Not all
Nick's
of us
small
were
phone.
blessed like you and Paris Lily with
Trying to
getting your
compensate for something
Steam
with that
Deck. You know what I
small screen?
mean?
God damn.
After everything I've done for PC gaming, this is how they're treating me. It's ridiculous.
Well deserved.
God, there's so much to talk about here, including also I just got this in the mail. Really excited. I'm actually going to read a book, everybody, like a real physical book. Like
Tim,
that's unheard of.
Can you hold it over your face to make it look like his shoulders and head or your head? No, closer to the camera. Yeah, like we can line this up.
This is gonna be tough.
It's gonna be tough.
It's
Closer,
really
closer.
tough.
Closer. Oh man, you're
No.
terrible.
Gives
No,
me
I
the
meant closer.
animated-
to
Oh
you.
man, you're
Yeah.
terrible.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Oh my lord. He's
Yeah.
back 2 weeks in a row.
Everyone, to me, Reggie.
was
Don't
great.
clip that out, please. But yeah, it's always one of those hard things where it's like when you're working with mirrors or cameras and stuff, where it's like you know what you're trying to do, but it takes a second to understand the direction of like what's what. And then you're
The
like,
weatherman.
okay, it all
The
clicks.
weatherman.
Whatever the weather be, we're advancing steadily. Of course, this is the Kinda Funny Gamescast, where every single week we get together to talk about video games and all the things that we love about them. It usually happens once a week, but on these rare, beautiful occurrences, we get two of them, including times that Reggie Fils-Aimé decides to drop by for an interview like he did earlier this week. So you can go check that out. It's live now on youtube.com/kindafunny or roosterteeth.com, and also podcast services around the globe. You just got to search for the Kinda Funny Games Cast and we'll be right there for you. If you want to get the show ad-free, if you want to watch live as it's being recorded, and most importantly, if you want the exclusive post show where we play a thrilling game show called Bless Who, you got to go to patreon.com/kindafunny, just like Kinda Funny Games. Kinda Funny Games, that's what it is. Just like our Patreon producers, Anonymous, Fargo Brady, Tyler Ross, Delaney Twinning, First Responder ND, Julian the Gluten-Free Gamer, Alex J. Sandoval, James Hastings, and Casey Andrew have all done. Thank you so very, very much for your support. If you do not have bucks to toss our way on Patreon, that's totally cool. When you're out there buying video games on the Epic Game Store, make sure you're using our Epic creator code Kinda Funny, and it super helps us out. Even if it's just in-game purchases on Epic Games on your consoles, like Greg Miller would try to get you to do, use the code, and it helps us out there as well. A little housekeeping for you. Kinda Funny's new merch line is now live. KindaFunny.com/store. Our new t-shirt design has been revealed for the Patreon Platinum members as well. A lot of really, really cool stuff. So over on KindaFunny.com/store, you can get the brand new shirt and hat from Campfire Design Studio that features Portillo the Wiener Dog snug in a bun. Nick from Campfire finished this last year and was always on the schedule for this month. Now, part of the proceeds will go to the Central Missouri Humane Society as a way to honor our fallen king. What a great way to put that, Greg. I know you wrote that, but I love it. I love it so much.
Well, yeah, well, that's why you tell me it's a great way to put it, because I wrote it. Everybody, I'm a pretty good writer. Don't forget. Remember that, Bless? Remember when I used to write reviews?
This guy writes.
I read your chart through review. It was all right.
God damn it, dude. I don't like this new character. This Steam Deck changed you, all right? I'm not a fan of it.
You can also check out the Platinum Rewards over on patreon.com/kindafunny or /kindafunny games. Today we're brought to you by ExpressVPN, Chime, and Babbel. I'll tell you all about that later. I want to get right into it. A game that I was fiercely anticipating, an indie game called Trek to Yomi. Andy, you've beaten it. Greg, you've beaten it. I've played a little bit of it. Andy Cortez, I want to start with you. What did you think of Trek to Yomi?
It's not that it's bad. It's just that I'm disappointed. Trek to Yomi had so much potential. I think when you reveal a game with such a really cool art style, right? You see this gorgeous art style with incredible visuals, and you pair it with the publishing of Devolver, it just seems kind of like a guaranteed hit, right? It's going to be a guaranteed kind of must-play indie. And Trek to Yomi, unfortunately, is not a must-play game by any stretch of the imagination. Pretty disappointing, honestly. I haven't really played a game, I don't think, in a long time where I've seen such a gulf in between art direction and aesthetic and visuals. And on the other side, combat mechanics, game design. It's pretty disappointing, unfortunately, Tim.
Are you beat the game? Are you prepared to render a verdict on the KindaFunny scale?
Yes, I am giving it a 3 out of 5. Okay, and it's kind of close to being a 2 out of 5 bad, right? Like I think there's been a lot of different games that have their saving graces, whether you say, man, the graphics in that game were terrible, but it had a fun gameplay loop. But this game, I think, is like, you kind of want to be a little bit extra tough on it because of the Devolver Digital sort of label on it, right? You expect a really, really great game to come out. And unfortunately, it's kind of a pretty big miss, unfortunately. I just did not have a lot of fun with it. Right off the bat, you were introduced with a training session where you are training with your sensei, and immediately things just don't feel right combat-wise. And I feel like this game could have been a really standout indie game 7-8 years ago, but in the time since then, indie studios have been able to show off that they know that they've got what it takes, right? It's like so many indie studios have put out incredible games, and yeah, I think this game is like visually stunning, and anytime you'd enter a new frame, for people wondering, it's a black and white game if you're an audio listener only. It's black and white. It's inspired by Kurosawa films, and every scene is kind of like, I'd say, like an old school. It's not all side scrolling like you may have seen in some of the trailers. Some of it acts like tank controls would in a old Resident Evil game or something like that. Each new scene kind of has you walking in from a different perspective, and it is like fucking jaw-droppingly gorgeous. Like every scene in this game looks like a painting. It looks like a movie. The depth of field is fantastic. They have like such a perfect art design, and that's why I'm so let down by playing the game.
Yeah, Andy, I jumping off what you said, of like almost immediately it kind of just doesn't feel right. I played about 2.5 hours of it, and eventually I was like, it isn't for me. I'm having more fun watching it than I am actually playing it. And I think that was immediately clear with the first kind of like combat scenarios you're in, where as beautiful as it is, when you're in control of it, it feels less like they're people and more like they're puppets that you're controlling. And I feel like that is something that I just couldn't really get over, this like mental block of it feeling right. And I feel like when you're not in control of it and you're just kind of watching it, it actually is a little bit more enjoyable. And that's not necessarily a good thing when we're talking about video games. It reminds me a lot of Cuphead is a little too difficult for a lot of people, but it's fun for them to just watch because the animation's so beautiful, and kind of like the storytelling going on graphically is great, but it's backed up with such quality gameplay, obviously, that for the people that want that type of challenge, it's there. But with this, the gameplay that I've experienced doesn't really seem like it's doing anything interesting that I haven't seen before. And it reminds me more of like Flash games from back in the day than it does some of the more standout indie games that we've had now time and time again. Greg, being another person that beat the game, what score would you give it, and where are your thoughts at?
I couldn't agree with Andy more. I think I'm right there with him. You know, what I love about, we talked about on our review thing, is that the 3 out of 5 okay is either it's okay or it's good, you should play it, or it's okay, it's fine, it is what it is. And this for me isn't, it's fine. Like it's a game that I did not want to finish. I did not enjoy finishing. I would have tapped out earlier, but I know it's a shorter game, and some point you're invested. And I was looking through trophies, so I knew how many chapters I had in front of me and stuff. But everything you guys are saying, I echo. Like for me, the easiest synopsis of this is that Trek to Yomi is all style and no substance, and I feel it is so gorgeous, and they do such great stuff with the camera, right? They talk about, and Andy brought this up, it's not always side scrolling. It'll get behind you. You get to basically it'll go to that, mainly that 2D side scrolling when you're in combat. Otherwise, you can kind of free roam areas. There's always like, if you go off the beaten path and go through a doorway that you could run by, there'll be something in there. There'll be an upgrade to health, to stamina, one of the collectibles in the game, stuff like that. But all of it, and I think honestly, combat included, is just not there. I don't want to say uninspired. Clearly, the game's inspired by the movies that came before, these samurai films in black and white Japanese pictures, and it has that there. But there's just, I feel like, and Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, I really never felt the carrot on the end of the stick for it. Like the way they do upgrades, if you will, in quotes, is like as you go, you learn new combos that you can use in the game. However, and granted, I was playing on medium difficulty. There's hard difficulty above that. There's easy below it. There's hard above it. And then once you unlock it, there's like, what do they call it? I had it open over here. Kensei, which is the one where it's one hit, one kill. Like you have to be flawless. So I would assume as you went higher, those things would matter more. But for playing on medium, I never was inclined to use the different combos. So it really was like, oh, this is a guy I know is only weak to heavy attacks. Oh, this is the guy that I get a few square light attacks in with. Then he teleports over there, but leaves his ghost. Don't hit his ghost. But like you learn the playbook pretty quick, I feel, for where I was playing. And then the game was just like, okay, cool. And again, I didn't go up to hard because there were points where I was annoyed, where it was like, here's a whole bunch of there's save spots in between the game, these little shrines you pray at that refill your health and save your game. And so it's, constantly, all right, you go in there.
They're pretty liberal with them too. Yeah, it's nice to always see kind of a save spot, a bonfire, if you will.
Agreed. But there will be those sections where there are 8 guys on a long bridge or whatever, and you have to do it flawlessly, or at least better than I was doing it. And I would be annoyed with it to where it was like, okay, cool, like I don't feel like I need to use the rest of the combos to beat these guys. I know what I need to do. I'm just messing up a timing or doing something like that. So going harder doesn't make it better for me. And then also playing it on medium, I'm not inspired to keep going and doing it this way. And so there was at the very, very end, like I was like done. Where I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And so like the final chapter and a half I was playing yesterday during my block of time. And I was just like, you know what? Normally I would just stop the game here, but I'm this close to the end. I just went to story mode and went through and got done with it to be done with it. But it would have been a game I would have put down. But again, to Andy's point, it's not bad. It's just a game I wouldn't recommend to anybody. I don't think it's providing the challenge in the way people want it. And granted, that's, as I just heard, not my type of game in general. Andy, am I wrong about that? Where was the challenge for you?
I think it'll be a different strokes for different folks sort of thing, where to bring up a very, very popular title of Marvel's Avengers, Greg.
Yes, finally. I'm glad somebody said it. Elephant in the room.
I think one of the bigger criticisms around launch time was like the combat is so basic.
Button mashing.
It's button mashing. But when I wanted to have fun and feel flashy and cool, I could figure out really cool combos to feel awesome. And I would say that like the combat in this game almost brings it down to like a 2 out of 5 for me. Where like it is that unenjoyable for me. I found one sort of, I got to the kind of the point where Greg was, where it's like, I found this one move that can take out anybody. And I used that the whole way because I just didn't care to learn the rest of it. And I unlocked a buttload of combos, and none of them really seemed engaging enough for me to want to try it out. It takes a little bit getting used to, where you have to hit the A button to spin around. You don't just turn the other way. You have to hit the A button to do a 180 to face the other way. Or as you keep on playing, you can unlock sort of turnaround moves, and that
Yeah, you also learn how to you'll eventually learn when you're blocking, right? That if you block, you'll turn to automatically block whoever's swinging at you.
Well, there's a move that you will learn along the way that you turn around, light attack, heavy attack, and then you can go for the finisher.
Mm.
And I did that on everybody for about 60% of the way to the playthrough because it just wasn't fun. I had zero amounts of fun in this game, and later on down the line, they sprinkle in some puzzles that are just super useless, and the puzzles kind of seem like
The puzzles are so stupid. Literally, you step on a thing, 3 different symbols light up in the world, and then you go into the thing and match those symbols.
This isn't like God of War where you look for the urns around and you're like, oh, I gotta shoot that. Oh, I gotta do this while the timing's down to get the other one. There's just 3 symbols that pop up, and you have to match them. And it seems like the puzzles are there in order to break up the monotony of the combat. But if your combat's good and shouldn't feel monotonous.
Right. Same thing with the environmental kills, where you'll walk in and there'll be like ways of like, okay, cool. You walk in and there's this giant thing of logs, and if you cut it down, it'll crush all the guys or drop an elevator kind of thing. But none of this is, hey, did you get them into the right place or lure them into the right place? They start in the right place. Did you come in the right way? And if not, you can kind of maybe early enough double back and do it. It's just like, okay, like
this isn't the right path. Yeah. I mean, those sections I kind of appreciated because to me, that's an extra level of effort. And I'm not saying that the combat designers didn't try. Like, I'm not trying to say it's an effort thing. I really just think it's like this game got put out the same year as Sifu, another independent title. And Sifu doesn't need to break up its combat with little kind of puzzly things to kind of give you a respite from the combat. Like when you're playing Spider-Man and you have your Miles Morales sneaking stuff or your Mary Jane sneaking stuff. Like, this game doesn't need to do that. Sifu didn't need to do that because I think the combat was that damn good. And in this game, it feels like it's there to have like an intermission from the combat.
Like
and
variety.
It really just doesn't feel like it serves any purpose other than to, well, we can't just have you doing the same shit all over the time. Every room is 5 more dudes that you got to take on, and then the next room is 5 more dudes and 6 more dudes. Blessing.
How long is the game?
About 7 hours. I believe in about 7.5 hours.
Did it feel like it overstayed its welcome? Because like as I'm watching, as Bear is pulling up gameplay, like in the way that you're talking about combat not feeling that satisfying, it seems like the thing that the game really has going for it is the art. And in watching the art, right, it reminds me a little bit of a game like Inside, where Inside did have the content to back it up, right? Like those puzzles are 10 out of 10. But even if it didn't have that, it still had the world and the environment and the atmosphere and like stuff that you can interpret, right? A story that was there. And for me, after playing Inside for about 2 to 3 hours and beating it in that time, I was like, oh man, I got so much out of this. For you, like after the 7 hours, like how done were you? And was there anything like outside of the combat in terms of like story atmosphere itself that you took away from it that felt like it was worth it?
I didn't take much from this game at all, Blessing. I think the story is another kind of revenge tale. Family member things happen, bad shit happens, you got to go get your revenge. And there's like an interesting kind of twist that I won't spoil here, but I don't know. It didn't really add any extra level of special, like a special feeling for me to go, oh, wow, this game's going there. It's just kind of another element of story
and even,
that.
And that is where I thought mostly with that twist, Andy, is where it overstayed its welcome. Like, it's like a weird thing to toss in this twist that they do and then have you stay there as long as you do. Because I think it actually is a detriment to them trying to tell a story, which, again, I don't think they effectively do. It's revenge, like Andy pointed out. There's one point in there where, well, I guess 2 points technically, but one final point, right? Where you make a choice as to, like, just declaring what your reason for fighting is kind of thing. And there's trophies tied to each one of them, but I don't imagine that it drastically changes anything. It's, I assume, lines of dialogue based on how my game did, and then of course the end cutscene you get. But yeah, it's the story's all super surface level. I never felt super connected to the characters. I think it's another one where you're playing through this and for combat. I'm not even trying to compare visuals or whatever, but in terms of combat, you can't help but think of, especially just the sword combat, Ghost of Tsushima, right? But especially story. And I mean, yes, that's a AAA game. Yes, that's a Sony exclusive. Comparing it to an independent game might be a bit unfair, but I just mean in the way characters hit and relationships hit, where that just didn't happen here. And I'm with Andy of like, I think the reason I think this is it's an okay game is that, people are going to play it and they might enjoy it or they might not or whatever. But I just think it's going to be one that at the end of the year, you won't think of this game. Like, it's one of those games where you're not going to have really great positive or negative thoughts about it. You play it, you experience it, you move on. But I don't think we're going to sit here and be talking about how it did this really well or this really wrong later on. Tim, your hand went up.
Yeah, I have two questions kind of in the same vein of this. One of them being, obviously, it seems like the visuals of the game are the thing that are really kind of pushing this to that 3 level above like a 2, like the difference between it being bad or okay. Do you think that the visuals alone are varied enough and kind of keep your interest through that 7 hours that like makes that a defining thing? And then the second part of the question is, what are the other things that bring it to a 3 as opposed to a 2?
I mean, I think it is the visuals and the production value and sort of like that presentation, because it's not always like, that's not only the same camera angle you're always seeing. As you journey through this game, you're going to see a lot different settings than you may have expected. And it's still black and white, like nothing crazy there happens, but there's just a lot of cool things happening environmentally, a lot of cool stuff happening with the camera. They play with a lot of stuff happening in the foreground that's really dope as hell. There's a sequence early on where you're just kind of running through a village and you are trying to go like see what's happening. There's danger out in the distance, and in the foreground you see like a very, very blurred out a couple of people like kind of peeking over, really scared of something that's kind of, they're scared of this danger out there. And they just play with depth of field and foreground and background stuff in a really cool, clever way. And that's the stuff that I really appreciate, because that's like, I feel like if anything, if you are super into, if you're just into art in games, this is like, I think a must play. And you may be able to completely forgive the gameplay sins that I think it has, or you may not necessarily care a whole lot about the combat. And maybe you just, if you're not like me and you haven't played Sifu this year and you didn't play Sekiro last year and you haven't seen what like, this is what a parry should feel like, and this is what a correct dodge should feel like.
Let me stop you there, right? Because that's the thing, right? Is I still haven't played Sifu. It's on my backlog thing, and they just put out the new difficulty patches and all the stuff I've been waiting for. But even listening, right? I think if you're this far into a Gamescast, you listen to you guys talk about Sifu, right? You know what Sifu did right. And even me, not having played Sifu, just seeing demos, seeing you guys do the 4-player thing and listen to the review, I was like, man, this is trying to do what Sifu does, but it doesn't. Like, this doesn't feel good that way. And that's my thing, Tim, where, you're, and I appreciate the red team on this, right? Of the double check on what we're doing, of coming through and being like, well, what makes it a 3 rather than a 2? For me, what makes it a 3 rather than a 2 is that it's not bad. Like, I know this is all eye of the beholder shit, and that's what I love about our review scale. But for me, nothing in this game would I look at and go, man, it's bad. Like, remember, I gave Martha is Dead a 2 out of 5. I was like, that game is bad. Like, I do not like that. That game has a whole bunch of this crashes, that doesn't make sense what you're doing gameplay wise. Here, it all makes sense. I just don't think it's necessarily fun all the way through. And I think to Blessing's question earlier on, right? Like, if this game was pared down to 2 or 3 hours, if it didn't overstay its welcome, it didn't become, oh, here comes that one guy that I got to do this certain move to get through this certain thing to. Or even if, Andy learned the combo that's like the unblockable finisher, right? If he didn't do that for 60% of 7 hours, maybe it would have been fine and being a different thing. I think that there's stuff here to like. And I do wonder, again, it's the Gamescast and you're a kind of funny best friend if you're listening this far into it, right? Like, that I'm just not I want to slam my head into the wall over and over again challenge guy. If you are, maybe that last that difficulty you unlock after beating it, the one-hit kill thing really does speak to you, where you need to be flawless. Like, that's not why I like to play games, though. So it's like, for me, like, this was a stretch in the same way I haven't played Sifu, right? Like, this one I totally came into because I loved the style, because I loved, the samurai game that was Ghost of Tsushima, which has opened me up to reading different stuff and watching different stuff. Like, I was interested because of that, and I just don't think it had that experience the way I wanted it.
My question is then, who would you say this game is for? Because like as I'm like looking around the table, right? Like I see Andy is like the dude who loves the dodges and the parries, and it seems like this game is that kind of game. It's not living up to that standard, right? Like I see Greg as somebody who loves like narrative and world building and indie games and different stuff, right? And like it seems like it's not living up to that standard. And even for me, seeing this game at presentations, I was like, damn, I love Ghost of Tsushima. Oh man, this looks like a side-scrolling Ghost of Tsushima, and I want dope combat. Like I want grueling, punishing combat, and I want to like live in a world that has this cool art style. And as you guys are selling it right now, like it seems like something that I'm probably gonna skip. Like I've not touched it so far, having the code, and like right now, I don't think I'm going to touch it. Like, who do you think, if there's somebody listening in our audience, right, like that might have interest in it? Do you think it's going to hit for a specific type of person if they're looking for a specific type of game?
There might be some people out there who just maybe don't have, who aren't such sticklers for combat, and maybe they want to play it on easy anyway. Because in that sense, I feel like it could be a bit of a longer version, like the of the Artful Escape. Tim loves the Artful Escape. He mentioned it's pretty much gameplay minimal, right? Like there's not a whole lot to do gameplay wise. It's more of an experience. This game isn't necessarily that. But it is, if you do play it on novice difficulty, it'll probably be around 6-ish hours, and it's gorgeous as hell. And you're gonna see all sorts of awesome scenery with really creative things that they're doing visually. And I think it could hit that level. And it's $20. And it's on Game Pass.
Game Pass, yeah. That's the thing about it.
That's
right?
massive. Like that's where it could get a decent amount of an audience. Yeah, I'm not trying to. I know a lot of people got kind of angry at Tam during his Sifu review because all of it was like, this isn't like Sekiro, therefore it is not good. And to me, it's like, well, this isn't very fun to play at all for me. So therefore, I don't think it's like a very good game.
Yeah, I mean, back to where I started, right? Like for me, it's okay, it's fine. It's a game I wouldn't recommend to anybody, and I think that there can exist a game that's fine and not bad that I would say that about. Where I do think it just misses the mark for what it is. The best I could do is if you are that person who wants to have the flawless, grueling, I need to be perfect, then yeah, I mean, Ronin's the difficulty that's hard. And then again, they unlock the Kensei one when you beat it. So like you could try it on Game Pass. You could go in on Ronin and really have to learn those moves, really have to learn the right combos and stuff. That's a turnoff for me. So I can't speak to if that actually is the gamer. I know that's honestly more of Andy. And the fact that Andy didn't deal with it or want it, like, I don't know, man.
I think it's kind of easy to tell how I'm feeling with a game when I sort of gauge how quickly I'm getting angry with it. Where there's some challenging parts towards the end of this game on like the normal difficulty.
For sure.
And if it were Sifu or any other sort of challenging game where you have a parry and you're fighting and hacking and slashing and whatever, around attempt 15, I'm going, fuck, god damn it. Around attempt 3, I'm like, fuck this game, dude. Like, I'm not having fun right now, you know? And like, the when you hit that level of frustration that quickly, that just kind of told me how quickly I wanted the game to be over, you know?
Yeah,
same thing for me, right? Like, even like if I'm enjoying a game and I get to a section that is like, okay, cool, I have to try, I have to be perfect, I have to do that. Like I'll do that. I will sit there, I will have fun with that. You know, we're gonna talk about Rogue Legacy in a second, right? Which I adore. I adore it on PSP, and I'm spoilers. Or I'm sorry, on Vita. In spoilers, I'm enjoying it now on Xbox, the Rogue Legacy 2, and those are the things that when I die or when I'm sorry, what was it?
Not on Steam. You're not enjoying.
No, not on Steam Deck. I don't have a Steam Deck yet.
Man.
No,
damn.
Yeah,
damn.
I don't know.
Damn.
I don't know how much earlier you pre-ordered yours than mine, but like it seems like it's ageist. But we'll get back to that later.
Looks like Gabe Newell got my email then.
Pretty sure Curse is at least 50.
Anyways, though, I even like if a game difficulty spikes in a game that I'm enjoying, I will sit there and I will take it and I will like, yeah, let's get through it. But I was the same way, right? Where I was like, there were multiple, like most of my nights of the game stop with like, I'm kind of annoyed with this. I want to play something. I wanted to get some WWE in, or I want to do something else in whatever. And then I'd come back to it until yesterday where I was just like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And so let's turn it down and go. But playing it on the easiest difficulty, then it's just brain dead because it is like, I don't have to worry about anything.
If it were any other game, there were 2 moments where I would have just kept on playing because I'm having fun and I like the challenge. And there were 2 moments where I was like, I'm done for the night. I don't need to do this anymore. It's not even that hard. I'm just like not having fun with this, you know?
Yeah, it reminds me of like the difference between like, playing Elden Ring versus when we played Kena Bridge of Spirits back in the fall. Was it this fall or the fall before? Times of Flat
It was
Circle.
last fall, yeah.
Was it last fall? It feels so much longer. But like playing that game, I remember getting to one of the final boss fights and getting to attempt number 10 and
The
being like,
endurance match.
yeah, and being like, how in the world have I not like finished this and being frustrated? But like, I was enjoying it by try 5, right? I was enjoying it by try 8, and that's to the credit of I think the combat in Kana is great, not amazing. Whereas like playing Elden Ring, I think the combat is amazing, and so fighting Millennia and getting to try number 20, I am like still in it, right? I'm fully invested, I'm fully
Yeah.
going, and that's the stark contrast to other games where I might get to try number 2 or 3, where I'm like, ah, shit. Okay, no,
I'll
I'm
try
frustrated
tomorrow.
now.
I'd rather
I'll
just
try
watch
tomorrow.
TV. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim, you were gonna ask something?
Yeah, just so what I was saying is like it just kind of felt wrong to me, and it kind of felt more like like controlling a puppet as opposed to controlling a person. And you bringing up the isometric cameras that we see a lot in some of it, in the more Resident Evil style tank controls that we know from that. So that's an apt comparison to make, where I've never played a game that has this much 2D traversal that feels like it has a 2D version of Resident Evil tank controls, where it just doesn't quite feel right. And it, until you wrap your head around how it's supposed to play and move, it just never feels right. Did the game 7 hours in ever hit a point for you where you're like, okay, I feel good about how this feels?
Traversal wise?
Traversal with the combat, like all of it kind of together, just like in terms of like actually controlling the character.
Yeah, I'd say so. It got to a point where I just got kind of used to it, but there were several moments where it's like, what plane of movement am I on? Am I I can't go that far. I'm rocking the wrong direction. I'm too far back there. I need to be closer here so that I could walk on this platform that I guess my character was just kind of wasn't, it was colliding with a certain polygon or whatever. It does eventually feel right, and I had mentioned in the gameplay preview that I did for it, which will be available on youtube.com/KindaFunnyGames. It'll be up in a couple hours. But if you're listening to this a couple hours from now, it's up now. In that case, if you're listening to this in 2024, last year,
Still there,
or 2 years ago, fuck.
Rest in peace, Nick Scarpino.
I mentioned that the animation of the dude reminds me of that game, that PC game QWOP. QWOP.
Yeah.
Where you kind of like try to make the dude walk with your buttons, and it's really like initially like just the way my character was kind of moving, it felt like Tim was mentioning puppet like. And then when you get a parry, there's like a slow down animation that just never ever once felt right. There's QWOP.
there's QWOP.
See, real quick, while you're looking at QWOP, one of my first, and I don't think you're wrong at all. Like, there is a unique animation style to it, and what it struck me as was like, oh, and this isn't an insult, depending, I guess, how you take it, but this reminds me a lot of things I've played in Dreams. Like both the visuals and the way that you animate it, I was like, this feels like a dream, like a Dreams creation in a lot of ways, which isn't a bad thing. It's just what it reminded me of.
Yeah, and then so the parry mechanic never quite felt right. It just the slowdown feels odd, and I feel like maybe parrying was a bit too easy at times. I don't know. It just never felt satisfying to hit a parry. It just felt like there was not a whole lot of reward to it other than just slashing down the guy. Like the reward was just getting through this wave of people instead of like, wow, I'm getting better at this combat. The roll I never really used because I feel like it wasn't super responsive either. So I just would tank hits, and luckily the game is pretty rewarding in terms of getting health back whenever you would get a successful parry and hit. You would get a little health, a little tick back.
And you can, I don't know how, if it was for you, Andy, one of the things I did like about it was the exploration, was like going in and being like, oh, wait, does it want me to go right? Then I should go left. Or there's light over there, so let's go to the darkness. And it would be, I would find lots of collectibles that you had to go into a different menu to look at. But there were, my health bar was super far out. My stamina was super far out. So, and again, this is playing on medium. So even me, somebody who's not good at the, parrying and the dodging and all that jazz, I felt like I was in the fights lots of times, and it wasn't like grueling on that level.
And I did appreciate that it wasn't anything crazy exploration-wise. I feel like maybe some people might take that as a knock, that you're really just kind of going off the beaten path. It's just, here's the main thing. Oh, but I could walk right here, and then there's a different camera angle, and you see there's a couple of items for ammo because you pick up different projectile weapons. You have like a bow and arrow. You have your kunai sort of little, you know what I mean? The little
Throwing
The
fucking
thing,
things.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't have the name in front of me, but basically the spear tip that's on the end of like the
Scorpion.
chain for a
the
scorpion.
kunai. Yeah, I believe it's
and then
kunai. That
you got a gun.
Mhm.
You got a weird shotgun too.
So you end up kind of finding little items here and there, and I did enjoy that bit of exploration, Greg. I think that those little moments were cool, especially seeing the area from a different angle. That's
sure.
that was almost worth the reward of going the extra way because you get to see a cool different perspective, camera perspective.
Before you get to your final thoughts on Trek to Yomi, let me tell you about our sponsors. Shout out to Chime for sponsoring this episode. No one likes waiting on a paycheck, especially when you've got bills due. Good thing there's Chime. Now you can get your paycheck up to 2 days early with direct deposit. That's up to 2 more days to save, pay bills, and generally just feel good about your money situation. But Chime is more than just about getting paid early. It's also an award-winning mobile app, checking account, debit card, and optional savings account. So, what are you waiting for? Hopefully not your paycheck. You can get started with Chime today. Applying for a free account takes less than 2 minutes. You can get started at chime.com/kfgames. That's chime.com/kfgames. chime.com/kfgames. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank, NA, members FDIC. Early access to direct deposit funds depends on payer. Shout out to Babbel for sponsoring this episode. For most of us, learning a second language in high school or college wasn't exactly a high point in our academic careers. Definitely not me. I took Spanish, didn't do well in it the first time, did okay the second time. You know what? We'll move on. Now, thanks to Babbel, the language learning app that's sold more than 10 million subscriptions, there's an addictively fun and easy way to learn a new language. Whether you'll be traveling abroad, connecting in a deeper way with family, or you just have some free time, Babbel teaches bite-sized language lessons that you'll actually use in the real world. Greg Miller has been learning French little by little, and now when he goes back home to Canada to see Jen's family, he'll be able to communicate better. Isn't that a lovely situation? Babbel's 15-minute lessons make it the perfect way to learn a new language on the go. Plus, Babbel's speech recognition technology helps you to improve your pronunciation and accent. Right now, you can save up to 60% off your subscription when you go to babbel.com/kindafunny. That's BABBEL.com/kindafunny for up to 60% off your subscription. Babbel, language for life. One more time, babbel.com/kindafunny. Shout out to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this episode. Using the internet without ExpressVPN is like walking your dog in public without securing them on a leash. Most of the time, you'll probably be fine, but what if one day your dog runs away or gets dog-napped? It's better to be careful, especially when it's as simple as using ExpressVPN. We've been using ExpressVPN here at KindaFunny for years now. Me personally, I've been using it, and I know that my internet browsing is secure. It just gives me that peace of mind that I need. Every time you connect to an unencrypted network in cafes, hotels, airports, your online data is not secure, but ExpressVPN creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet so they can't, and it's great. I use it on my desktop, I use it on my phone, I use it everywhere that I use the internet. It would take a hacker with a supercomputer over 1 billion years to get past ExpressVPN's encryption. You can get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN at expressvpn.com/kindafunny. That's expressvpn.com/kindafunny. expressvpn.com/kindafunny. Back to you, Andy.
I don't really know where I was going, honestly.
Well, what are your final
talking-
thoughts on Trek to Yomi, Andy?
Just talking to talk, you know. just talking on a
Just go
podcast.
until Tim says the show's over.
Final thoughts. Yeah, this is not a must play by any means. It's on Game Pass, so if you have Game Pass, download it and see how it looks on a TV, because that might be a cool experience. Again, the game is
it is the OLED. Dude, this game, the blacks, man, they sing
perfect.
Like it's
Perfect.
beautiful. I played it a little bit on my TV, and I also played it on my ultra wide, and I do want to give the game a shout out for its tech options. Like there's a ton of stuff in the back end that you can turn on or change the levels of, and it looks great either in ultra wide or in OLED.
Yeah, I need to check it out on console then, because I played on PC, so I will definitely give that a shot. Because yeah, the game is like one of the prettiest, best presented art directed games I've played in a long time. and it's like up there with the Sifus in my opinion, especially with how I'd say diverse the environments get. I thought I knew what I was getting environment wise. I thought I knew what I was getting into rather, and it kind of takes you for some twists and turns that are really cool to experience and look at. But other than that, I would say this is a miss for me.
Greg, any final thoughts?
I mean, yeah, I echo everything Andy said, and I like that there's two perspectives on it from different people who play different kinds of games, right? That for me, it's just one of those middle of the road mediocre games. It's fine. I do think that if you have Game Pass and you want to just look at it and try it out, obviously no harm in it. I'm sure people will find fun with it, but I'm with Andy of like, it's just not something I would recommend, and I don't think it's a must play. Like, I don't think there's going to be a lot of conversations about this going forward with so many other amazing games happening this year.
And I realize I'm probably way harder on it, but I think that is because it's like, again, this Devolver game with this gorgeous art direction, and I feel like that comes with some sort of expectation.
Oh man,
and
it came with hype, right? Like everything we saw. The reason I played it, and the reason Tim got it, and the reason Blessing was into it is because the hype looked great. Like it looked like, oh, this is going to be a great game, and so
this would be there at the end of the year,
bar.
game of the year.
100%. You could easily see that where that would happen, right?
Like when I think of the Devolver indie games that I've fallen for in the last like few years, right? Like I think of Ape Out, I think of Katana Zero, like the list goes on. Like Hotline Miami, like a decade ago, I feel like very much set the tone
Death's
for
Door.
Yeah, Death's Door. Like when Devolver is on the box, or I guess like just on the publisher page, that comes with a certain expectation of, oh, this game is gonna be rocking. Like this game is gonna be hype, is gonna have the energy, is gonna have maybe a unique art style, and the gameplay is gonna back it up. And so like I feel like your expectations aren't like out of whack in terms of wanting this thing to deliver when it's coming from a pub that has delivered traditionally.
Well, Blessing, you've been playing Rogue Legacy too.
I have been.
Not quite as much as Greg, but I want to know from your perspective, is
I'll
it
get there.
delivering?
I'm gonna surpass Greg. Trust me. I got the Steam Deck, so I can play this.
Everybody who gets a Steam Deck gets the Steam Deck and then just takes photos of loading screens, game main menus on their Steam Deck. Play something with it. They gave it. You have it.
I just got it yesterday.
God
what do you
gave
want
you
from
this
me?
to play games. Paris Lily, not to take fucking beauty shots.
I've literally had it for 25 hours.
Big
I've
words
not had
coming from
much of a chance.
the Instagram guy, Greg Miller.
Yeah, first of all, Greg
Some of us
Miller
are
posts on
multi-talented,
Instagram.
Barrett. You know what I mean? You and me,
3 times a day.
multi-talented. Andy, one trick pony.
Also, it's also
Why
great
you
for
pick
pictures.
him into it?
Where's that come from?
Rogue Legacy 2 is dope as hell. Like I'm like Greg, where I played Rogue Legacy back in the day and absolutely adored it. If you somehow don't know what Rogue Legacy is, it is a roguelite, right? And like it is, like Dead Cells, it is like pretty much any other traditional roguelite you play, where it is 2D action. You are dungeon crawling through a castle and through other environments. It starts off in a castle, and then like it grows into outdoors and other places. And you're playing until you die, and you lose virtually all your progress, even though some things carry over. There's like very light progression, and so as you're going through the dungeon, you're collecting coins. You then die, and then you spend coins on upgrades, which might be a different class, might be better health, might be more attack damage, might be abilities, might be an assortment of things. And Rogue Legacy 2 has an assortment of things, especially compared to Rogue Legacy 1, where, Rogue Legacy 1, you had the castle that you were building that would then get you more abilities and more upgrades and unlockables. And then once you exit the castle, you had like 2 different people you can talk to that would give you like runes or would give you other things. Rogue Legacy 2, from the get-go, I'm only about 2 hours in, but I am overwhelmed with the amount of things that I can spend coins on. And from the get-go, I am like very excited for making progression and figuring out how I want to build my character and build toward progression, because it is, they have the castle thing again, so I can build the castle to get all these different unlockables and classes and all these things. And then also I can buy runes, I can buy gear, I can buy like a whole bunch of shit, it feels like. And they are front loading a lot of the things that I think while playing Rogue Legacy 1, you've probably grown accustomed to. One of my first questions when I booted up the game was, all right, where is my air dodge? Like, I need an air dodge. I need to be able to like, be limber as possible. And like within the
Perfectly
first
good question to ask, Blessing.
yeah, like especially for Rogue Legacy, it was the most obvious question. And within the first hour, that's like the first unlockable that you find. It is the air dodge, and I was like, thank God. And so they front load a lot of that stuff to kind of get you into the game quicker. And then what I'm met with now is just a lot of stuff that feels way fresh, way more new, and way more exciting than I even thought this game was going to be. Because like seeing the trailers coming off of Rogue Legacy 1, I thought this is just going to be purely more Rogue Legacy. From the debut trailer, I was like, this looks just like the Rogue Legacy. I'm down to play more of that. I'm sure it'll be more content, but I didn't expect much. From the get-go, the game has like a brand new art style. Like it still looks similar, but it is like more polished. It is more animation like. It reminds me, not in a bad way, because I feel like we make this comparison a lot in the bad way, but like it reminds me of like the Newgrounds flashy, like this is cartoony but very polished and very clean in a way that reminds me of a Flash game. But I do think the actual art style and direction backs that up. And like once you get lost in it, you really do get lost in it, where it is like you are discovering new enemies, you're exploring the castle, and for me, every single round I've gone through, which has been like, I want to say I've done like 11 or 12 runs where I've gone through and I've died. With every run, I feel like I am discovering something new and hyped and exciting in terms of either a new room or a new type of room, where it is choose which upgrade you want kind of thing, or finding a new ability, or getting further than I was before. Like that loop is still there, that I think was there in the original game, but here I feel like it's even more. Like I feel like there's so much different stuff to discover, and I'm having an absolute blast with it. Like Greg, you're probably a few more hours in than I am. Are you feeling the same thing?
Oh my God. Like, yeah, I'm more hours in than you, but like not by a wide margin. And holy shit, as somebody who like, if you remember the stories, like Rogue Legacy on Vita for me was such a special game, such an important game, and really was my first roguelike game, right? Where I like fell in love with one of those. And honestly, it ruined so many roguelikes that would come after it, because it was the fact that I thought Rogue Legacy did such a great job of you were rewarded for every run you did, and you had objectives in terms of before you go in, you see your what you can spend your gold on, and so man, I really want that power up. I need to make this is how I played, at least. I need to get that much gold, and I'll come back and buy it or whatever. And so that is something I've thought is, for me personally, sorely lacking a lot of the ones that have been popular since then, and they haven't hit the same way. So getting into Rogue Legacy 2, yeah, it's the same idea of you go through and you have the gold. I think, the upgrade tree is expanding way quicker. I feel like everything's happening faster this time around. Whereas I have not played Rogue Legacy since I played Rogue Legacy on Vita and beat it there. So this is, rose tinted glasses, and may not be the most accurate scientific comparison, but in this one, I feel like I'm becoming stronger faster. I remember Rogue Legacy 1 really being, I got my teeth kicked in for a lot of hours before I turned a corner. It felt like I was making real damage. Now I'm feeling that faster. I'm way more into the new classes I'm unlocking. In Rogue Legacy, I really stuck with being a knight. That was what I did. And so in Rogue Legacy 2, I was doing that from the jump here, but I unlocked mage, and I'm playing through mage, and I really like the range combat that they've got, the spells they're able to cast there. What is it? Not barbarian, the Valkyrie. I didn't think I would like Valkyrie. I really like Valkyrie, of course. She's got way more range on her staff than other people you're able to get in there. And so as you keep going through, you keep unlocking these different classes, which you get to purchase and see. I'm fascinated, right? As I look right here, like, the assassins at level 36. I'm level 30 right now. Like, I'm anxious to get up there and see what that's all about, because the other classes have been so rewarding and fulfilling. In Rogue Legacy 1, there were classes, right, because the way it works, right, it's your legacy. You play, you die, you then get to pick from 3 of your heirs, of your bloodlines. And so those are randomly pulled from the classes you've unlocked. And then, of course, the big thing is that they have different traits for them, and that can be, color blindness and all the different things you've seen before this time around. Like a blessing, I tweeted about IBS, where you fart randomly. That's in there. I had the one where you're a Puritan, where all enemies are pixelated because you think they're like pornographic or whatever. But anyways, you pick who you want, and you pick from the classes that are available. You don't get to choose. Like, it's like 3 random classes of people are there with their own randomly generated traits, randomly generated spells and stuff like that. And in Rogue Legacy 1, there were definitely times I was like, I only want to be knight. So something would pop up, no knight. All right, I'm just going to do a gold run. Like, this is just to get gold. I'm not trying to actually advance and see if I can beat it. So far, granted, early, everybody I've got a fighting chance with. I feel like, okay, cool, there's something here, and I like this ability. I like that. Part of that comes down to, again, the skill tree, I think, opening up way quicker. And like, I'm, putting gold into leveling up my health. I'm putting it into my ability to carry more. Having, the blacksmith out there who's giving, right now I'm working on my entire leather armor set that then gives me more health, obviously, takes off a few other things, but then also adds to the weight of the character. Like, as usual, like, to Blessing's point, there's so much going on in this game. But I think, as was Rogue Legacy 1 with Rogue Legacy 2, you just get in and you're not going to beat it in the first X amount of hours. So it is about just running through, having fun, learning the enemy, learning the thing. Like, there are these I want to say new, but again, I just don't remember before. But like the challenges where you flip a switch now, and it is, all right, hit all the targets in this room in the amount of time, but don't jump, or beat every,
Yeah.
defeat every enemy
they,
in this.
They had those in the original game, but I think this time around they feel a bit more thought out and interesting.
And like, I have not gotten one of them done yet. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I fuck something up and I'm like, damn. Or when there's a treasure chest at the top of the room,
Yes.
and there's the one hit things where you have to use your for me L1 attack, right? That gives you like a downward swipe that you can bounce off of, and you have to do it the exact right way to get up there. Like, I finally got one of those after fucking up 3 of them, and I was like, because you do it enough and you come into that room, you're like, okay, cool, don't use them all up. You do it this way and get up there and do that thing. It just feels fucking great.
It does like the excellent roguelite thing where you're getting better every single run, and it's not purely just the upgrades. Like, you are learning the rooms and figuring
100%.
out like, okay, cool, there's gonna be these recurring rooms. There's gonna be that room that has the treasure chest all the way up. And next time I enter, I gotta remember not to immediately hit the lanterns because I'm trained to hit every single thing so I can get the coins. Andy, you have your hand up?
I heard that those rooms are easier, Greg, on a Steam Deck.
They are.
They are. Yeah, that's what I figured.
I've heard.
That's
They
what I was
for
hearing.
sure are.
Again, I'm playing on if we can drop the joke for 1 second. I can't get over how gorgeous the game is. Again, as somebody who only played Rogue Legacy on his Vita, to have Rogue Legacy 2, which obviously is going to look better, this many years later, but to have it on a giant TV and be watching it, it's just gorgeous. It's a feast for the eyes. But it probably is easier on the Steam Deck, because you have a bigger screen than when I'm remote playing.
And it's just ergonomically, it just feels good.
That I don't know. That I don't believe for a fucking second, but I'm excited to hear you talk.
After holding my Switch for the longest time, holding the Steam Deck feels like holding like an actual piece of technology. No offense to the Switch, but
when Greg asked, "Can we drop the joke?" I was going to say, "No, we can't. We cannot."
Just for a second. Now it's back on.
I feel like the closest analog, and I've always mentioned this on a lot of other Gamescasts we've done, but like, I feel like Hades is kind of the big roguelite that hit that a lot of mass audience sort of dove into, and it kind of became a lot of people's first roguelites. What would you say it does better, similarly, worse than Hades?
I think the difference between Rogue Legacy and Hades, and the reason why Rogue Legacy probably won't hit as much as Hades did, is because Hades had the characters and the story and the narrative. Yeah, Rogue Legacy does not have any of the horniness that Hades had. But I think
it has farts.
It has farts, and it has humor, right? And it has the systems.
Got the Borderlands crowd.
Yeah, the Borderlands crowd is gonna love that, but also like it has the charm, right? Like, it doesn't take itself too seriously whatsoever. Greg mentioned that I got the IBS in the game, which is like the random farts. I have also gotten like, I got a character who's nostalgic, which basically meant that I was playing my game in like a sepia tone kind of thing with like old timey, an old timey filter on it. Yeah, that was the first one I got, and I was like, oh, I hate this because I'm going through this game for the first time. It's like there's like enough obscuring like the visuals that I needed to actually play the game well. But then also like I got I forget what the actual trait was called, but it's basically like my character is the star of the show. Damn, I had it on the tip of my brain, but I don't have it. But basically what that trait did was give me a spotlight, and everything in the game is darkened except for that spotlight. So it is like I'm walking into the rooms and I can't see shit. But then every now and then when I would get a kill, roses would get thrown onto the stage kind of thing. Like, the game has so much
funny,
stuff
dude.
like
It's
that.
so brilliant what they do. Yeah, I have clumsy, right, where it's like anything I touch immediately breaks. Like, there's like that kind of stuff. I love that one of the traits for your characters, right, is pacifist, where you do no damage. You just have a sign with the peace symbol on it that you run around and bash, and usually they have like 250% up on gold or whatever. I think, and you, Blessing, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Like, for me with this compared to Hades, like, this is the more Hades. I felt like when I'd play it and die early, it would be like, oh man, I didn't really make any progress. I didn't get something done there. I felt like, whereas this one, again, like, all right, cool, it's a new class, I'm just gonna run around, fuck around, I die right away, it's no big deal. Like, I feel like this is so quick because there is no story to it. It is just like, cool, new air, let's go. Okay, died, let's get in there. Okay, now I had a really long run.
Kind of.
Yeah, exactly, right. Where this is the more, for me, the more immediate thing, which again is why I know it's on Steam Deck, I know it's on a remote play, but it's like why I feel like it lends itself so well to those mobile like experiences, because it is, you can, if you put in 5 minutes with it, you're going to have a good time and you're going to learn something new and get something done. Or if you can put in, an hour and a half of it, you're going to, get even further and have more happen.
Yeah, and I think the game does a really good job of, you mentioned while talking about Trek to Yomi, you don't really feel like you have a carrot on the stick. This game at all points, at all times, you feel like you have 10 different carrots on a stick that you want to work towards. Like right now, there's carrots everywhere, right? I feel like I'm the best horse right now, right? I have all my carrots. But like there's a trait that I was trying to get that was my character is AB positive, which means that once I get kills, I then get a little bit of health back because I'm basically like a bloodsucker kind of thing. That cost me 800 coins, and for the first first like hour, that was the thing that I was fighting for. But as I was fighting for it, oftentimes I'll die before getting to 800 coins, which meant that cool, I'm gonna take all these coins, I'm gonna focus them in on health and other things. Like you never feel like you've wasted your time. I think that's a huge thing that makes the gameplay loop keep going. But then also at all times it is cool. I want that AB positive thing. I also want to unlock this new class. I also want to increase my damage because I need to be doing more damage. I also want to increase my health. Like you have so many different things to work toward at any given time. And I think where Hades kind of leans into being like narrative, and after any run you then talk to the people that are back at the home base and you are building relationships, and maybe you're romancing, and maybe you're doing all these things and you're building this narrative. Rogue Legacy is purely about the systems and partly about the goofs, but it is like cool, how do I do more damage? What are the other classes I can get? Like, and I think the carrot on the stick is so magnificent. I think the better comparison for Rogue Legacy would be Dead Cells, though, because I think those are way more closer in terms of genre, because it is 2D action. Both of them take big influence from Castlevania, right? Like they're trying to be that game. And I think with that, right, like Dead Cells, I still think is, in terms of like, art style and presentation, Dead Cells is still my favorite in terms of that. But like, I think the gameplay loop in Rogue Legacy 2 is just so addicting and so fun, and it's punishing as well. But it rewards you so much with how much you learn every single run, because you are learning the rooms, you are learning how to use your abilities. Rogue Legacy 2 this time around has a few more mechanical changes, where it is, Greg mentioned like the down hit, where you can kind of get some air by pressing the left bumper or the right bumper, and that'll give you like a boost, so you can climb things that way. There's also to unlock these big new abilities that the game didn't really have before in Rogue Legacy 1. It's Metroidvania-like, where the dash I was talking about before, the air dash, you unlock that by getting to a room where, like Metroid, actually, there's like a big statue that's like offering you a thing, and you talk to that statue, and they're like, cool, you're gonna do a challenge, and the challenge is basically like a Celeste speed run, where it's okay, here's the ability that we want to give you. You're now transported to the Twilight Zone, and it's like Celeste kind of music, and then like even the filter that they put over the thing feels like Celeste, and you're going through these quick like platforming challenges to unlock the move. Stuff like that I feel like really makes the game stand out from the first game, and actually makes it feel like something that's taking it a step above. And that's the stuff that has me in right now. Like I want to continue to do the Metroidvania style, unlocking the new abilities so I can get to the new areas. I want to continue to upgrade my character, level up, upgrade the castle, get all the abilities. Like the carrots on all the different sticks are really strong right now, and that's what's keeping me going.
Yeah,
Baby
no, these are real carrots.
These are
aren't
big ass
weird
real
ass baby
carrots, yeah.
carrots. And why would anybody put those in the
Not
salad?
salad.
Those get dipped in hummus.
And
They
he
don't
was
get put in
sold. Now
salads.
you unsold
They don't
him.
get put in.
Get a fucking Steam Deck, dude. Jesus.
Yeah.
But no,
Well,
it's the
speaking of-
idea that like Blessy nailed it right. Of like anything, you're always being rewarded, even if you didn't get the rewards you want. Sorry, Tim.
Yeah.
No, that's great. I was gonna ask you, Greg, but it'd be silly to ask you what you think of the Steam Deck because
so
you don't
silly.
have
Doesn't
one.
have one. Damn.
But Bless, what are your impressions of it so far?
I don't have many impressions because I've honestly only played it for like
Take
30
photos of
minutes.
it, yeah.
I spent like a lot of, and I've taken photos of it, right? Like I got it delivered during yesterday's stream, and then like I had it carry through the finish of the stream, and then immediately I had shit to do. And like after today, I got D&D. I like have to find time to really hang out with my Steam Deck, because I've been playing Rogue Legacy mainly on PC because I was streaming it yesterday, and then I played 30 minutes on my Steam Deck. And so I played a bit of that, and I've also played a bit of a game called Koromon, which is a generic Pokemon game that is like trying to be Pokemon for the hardcores, but that's a different story. It's really awesome.
In what does that mean?
if you want to learn what that means, look up Koromon. It'll tell you on the Steam page.
Pokemon for the hardcores.
It's like trying to fix everything that
More
people
focused
complain
on the
about.
combat.
Yeah,
and
more
stuff.
focus on the combat, more focus on like the mechanics,
like the
you know.
IV and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like
wow.
I will say a quick tangent, right? Like I started up Koromon, and I was immediately like, oh shit, character customization. Like I can like change all these things to my character. This is already great. But
I thought you were gonna say like you have like a work-life balance. Like yeah, you're catching monsters, but also you got to do your taxes tonight.
Gotta go back to the office. Gotta crunch some numbers. The Steam Deck is awesome. So the one I got was the second tier of Steam Deck, which I believe is the $529 one. Has 256 gigabytes of SSD storage. And from just holding it, because that's really the only impressions I can give, this thing feels awesome to hold. So many buttons. This is a nerdy ass machine that feels like it can be capable of anything. Like once I got this delivered yesterday and I picked it up and I was messing around with it while the guys were playing Halo on stream, I all of a sudden was overcome with the feeling of getting a new console, and I did not think I would have that feeling while getting the Steam Deck. Like, it reminded me of day one getting my Switch in the mail and getting so excited to sit down and play Breath of the Wild on it. Granted, I don't have a Breath of the Wild on this thing to play. What I am playing is Rogue Legacy 2, which is awesome. But like, it just feels great. Like when they first announced it, I remember seeing the images and making fun of like how it looked like the buttons were trying to escape from the device because like they're like so high up and so they like look like they're about to fall off. It actually feels so perfect. Actually having it in your hand, like it's like ergonomic, if that makes sense. Like, this is a thick boy, like way thicker than a Nintendo Switch. And with that, like, they shaped it out so it does feel like I'm not getting like the hand cramps that I would holding my Switch. And I don't want to use this as like my time to just shit on the Switch because the Switch is awesome as well. But it does feel like they've put in thought that way. The screen is awesome. Like Greg mentioned, Rogue Legacy 2 being gorgeous on TV. It is gorgeous on here as well. And even Koromon, when I booted it up, I was like, damn, this is a good looking game. And that game is just like, it's GBA style pixel art. But even with that, I was like, damn, this looks really good. The fan is not loud, but like if you listen for it, like it is noticeable. Like, this thing is working overtime to make this shit run on the device. But
all you've done is hold it though. How do you know?
Oh, I had it on. Like, I had it on like yesterday during the stream, and I was fucking around with it, and I was like downloading God of War and shit. Which that's another
his feet were getting cold at night, so he'd turned on Nier Automata and put it near his feet.
And turn on the Steam Deck. It does get hot, but not in the places where you're holding it. It like gets hot in the middle center part of it, and like you won't notice that unless you like actually feel for it. And then I also think similarly about the fan, where you can hear the fan, but most likely if you're playing on the Steam Deck, you're probably gonna be wearing headphones, or you're probably gonna be so engrossed in the game that you're probably not gonna notice. I could see it maybe in like 2 years, this thing is gonna sound like a 7-year-old PS4. Maybe that's the case, but for now it's not that annoying. Andy Cortez.
Can I just say that, Greg, this isn't me making fun of you, but I feel like we're on the precipice of getting a brand new version of Greg Miller once he gets his hand on this device. Like, it's 100%. Exciting in a way. Like, I feel like Tiger Woods is getting a new set of golf clubs that are going to enhance. Like, he's going to be able to play so many new games that don't release on major consoles because he just doesn't like playing on PC. And they're going to be there in his hand, which he loves playing handheld anyway. This is like genuinely really exciting, I think, for us as a company. So I think we should all give us a round of applause right now, like all of us right here. Thank you.
This means I can expense my Steam Deck, right?
I mean, can I expense my Steam Deck? This shit was expensive. I did not realize.
We're gonna be shelling out all this for a Steam Deck. This is like it, Andy. Like, you're 100% right. If this can't get me into PC gaming, like, nothing will. And I understand, of course, that not every game works on it, and yada yada. There's a million other caveats. Yeah, I'm sorry, Plus.
I will say this is gonna get me way more into PC gaming because, like, I'm similar to Greg. I'm not as extreme as Greg, but I am somebody who, we get hit up for codes for certain games, and like usually PC codes are the most available. Just because
there's plenty of, like, I forget what it was recently, but it was I think even Yomi might have been right. We had Steam codes way early, or maybe whatever PC codes. I forget if they're Steam or Epic, but like we had codes way before we had console.
Yeah, and usually my go-to is like, no, I'm not gonna play on PC. I'll wait the amount of days it'll take for me to get a PlayStation code or a Switch code, depending on the game. Like, even Elden Ring, we had like for PC earlier than we got console codes, and like even for that game, that was one of my most anticipated games of the year. I was like, no, man, I'll wait 2 days so I can play it on PlayStation. Now having the Steam Deck, I can't wait to play games on this thing. And to Andy's point, it is opening me up to new games where there's Barrett can probably figure out the game I'm thinking of. There's a game that's like Undertale that has like a similar-ish sort of Earthbound kind of style to it that was recently announced for Switch, but has been on PC for a while. I feel like it starts with an O or a U. It has like a T in it. I want to say.
Is that the one where it's like almost like a rhythm dance thing as well?
No,
aspect to it? Oh,
that's the different one. That's the one Enron Khan loves. I'm thinking of a different one that's like really popular for like a certain sect of PC Undertale dorks. I would go crazy about.
Deltarune is where I'm gonna
go. No, that's a different game.
I do think the thing I'm looking forward to most, though, and I hope that it kind of becomes more of a regular thing, is that I feel like this whole Steam Deck approved thing, moniker and sort of sticker that they're putting on these games, I hope it doesn't become that hard to attain for these smaller pubs and these smaller devs, because so far, like, yeah, you can play Jedi Fallen Order or a game that came out 3 or 4 years ago on this device, but I really hope that we get to a point and this device becomes really popular enough to where devs are going to say, yeah, we have to have a day one Steam Deck approved, because I think that'll like that's so exciting, Blessing, if you eventually do ever pick up this RTX 3080, which by the way, it's been here for a long time, really dusty. But
I mean, I don't need it anymore if I'm being honest. I got my Steam
He's
Deck.
got a Steam Deck.
I mean,
Amori is the game I'm thinking
Blessing,
about, by the way.
You're in the restroom, you're cranking it, you're playing a game, you get that cloud save going, and then you're like, oh, let me go.
I mean, dude, that's what I did with Rogue Legacy 2 yesterday, and it felt great to close the game out on my PC, immediately pick up my Steam Deck, and it was right there. And I was like, this is magical. This is exactly what I need, right? And to go back to the point I was making, applause. To go back to the point I was making earlier, right? Like, I'm gonna check out this Amori game. That is a game that sounds like it's gonna be completely for me, but I was waiting for it to come to Switch or to an actual console, right? Like I'm gonna pick up like there's a list of games that I'm planning on picking up. Even Koromon, Koromon I didn't realize wasn't on Switch, but I was like waiting on getting a Switch code, and then once I got my Steam Deck, I was like, oh shit, I can just pick this up on a Steam Deck and play it there, and now I'm playing it. Like the list is gonna go on.
Also, right now, on the Steam Going Rogue, a festival of persistence, May 2nd through May 9th. They are highlighting Metroidvanias, Souls-likes, roguelikes, roguelites. And Hollow Knight is $6, dude. $6 on Steam. Get your life right.
Now's the time. I mean, I did start it on Switch, but maybe I will switch because I just love holding this thing, and part of it is probably just because it's new. But I do think it's just such a great device to have in your hands. I'm sad that Greg Miller isn't able to do that.
But in 2 weeks, I'm on a plane in Canada.
This is
I would like
now,
this fucking thing.
It does have paddles, yeah, and that's the thing is I try to map Rogue Legacy 2 to some of the paddles because of the dash mechanic and also like the down hit mechanic. I couldn't actually figure out how to do it. I'm gonna take time to figure that out because it just wasn't in the regular menus. But I forgot what I was gonna say. But yeah, I'm enjoying using this thing.
Plus, I have a question for you.
What's up, Greg?
Can you forward me your email? That way I can make sure I have it like set up to make sure I don't miss that, like who it's coming from or whatever. Cause it's this whole thing. And then my question was, what was the shipping time like? They hit you up on what, a Monday or a Thursday? Those are the days they do this, right? You gave them your money out. You said, yes, I want it. Gave me your money. And then how many days till you got it?
Ooh, okay. Let me check.
I'm running out of time here. I take off on a plane a week from Monday. You know what I mean? This is
a week from
Monday.
Oh,
I'll be damned if on this plane I'm gonna fucking hold my kid. All right, I'm gonna hold the Steam Deck, God willing.
Gabe Newell delivered it, hand delivered it.
The thing I was gonna say that I forgot was this is the most time I've spent in the Steam store in a long time. Usually I don't fuck around with like hanging out there.
That's the best kind of time, Bless. It's like when you're scrolling through Netflix of like, what do I not want to watch tonight, but what do I want to watch in like a week or so, and you just kind of scroll through for like 4 hours.
It's always like, oh shit, that's $11. Fuck it. Like,
yeah, dude.
I'll buy that right now.
The Steam Deck is going to make that even worse. And I can't wait.
Greg, so I got my email to purchase it on April 21st. So that was about 13 days ago. Oh, no. And then they shipped it the week after, and then I received it yesterday. And so it's like a 2-week process. About.
Yeah, you're gonna have to hold this fucking baby, Greg. Like you're gonna have to hold this kid for this entire flight. And not have your Steam Deck hold.
I mean, you got a phone. You can play Marvel Strike Force, whatever game you play, puzzle.
Well, Rogue Legacy, I can play on my phone when I'm upstairs. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm safe.
If you're connected to the internet.
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying. I do know that Puzzle Quest 3 works on planes via plane Wi-Fi because I'm still playing that shit. Don't you worry.
Don't you dare worry.
Don't you fucking worry about it, Tim.
Not planning on it. Not planning on it. You know what I am planning on doing though? Ending the show right here so we can get to the exclusive post show with an episode of Bless Who featuring KindaFunny. I'm very excited about it.
Tim, let me tell you, I think this might be the best one. This one's
okay. That is fantastic stuff. Everyone, let us know in the comments below if you are still interested in trying out Trek to Yomi or if you have been playing Rogue Legacy 2. Until next time, I love you all. Goodbye.
I dominated last week, KindaFunny.